What if I told you, the 1960s weren't just about peace, love, and rock and roll? Hidden behind the decade's bright colors were TV shows so bold, so strange, and so ahead of their time, that television has never been the same since. Today, we're revisiting 10 legendary shows from the 1960s that changed storytelling, broke rules, and reshaped pop culture forever. Welcome back to Remembering America, where forgotten brilliance meets timeless TV magic. From supernatural soap operas to mind-bending sci-fi, these are the shows that defined a generation, and still echo through the screens of today. Let's begin. 1. Coronet Blue. Coronet Blue was one of the most mysterious TV experiments of the 1960s. The show follows a man known only as Michael Alden, who wakes up after an attempted murder with no memory except the cryptic phrase, Coronet Blue. The series blended espionage, identity crisis, and Cold War paranoia into a psychological puzzle the audience was never meant to fully solve. Its storytelling was bold for its time, non-linear, moody, and filled with unanswered questions. But behind the camera, chaos ruled. CBS executives didn't understand the concept, production delays mounted, and the show was cancelled before its central mystery could be revealed. Yet Coronet Blue remains a cult classic, a bold reminder that sometimes the most unforgettable stories are the ones that never get a proper ending. 2. The Prisoner. The Prisoner wasn't just a TV show, it was a rebellion disguised as science fiction. Patrick McGoohan starred as a former secret agent who wakes up in a bizarre coastal village where everyone is given numbers instead of names. Surveillance, mind control, psychological games, the series was decades ahead of its time. Each episode explored themes of individuality, freedom, and the crushing weight of society's expectations. Viewers were shocked, confused, fascinated, sometimes all at once. Behind the scenes, McGoohan battled the studio, fought for his creative vision, and ultimately delivered a finale so controversial it caused protests in the UK. The Prisoner remains one of the boldest statements ever put on television. You can imprison a person, but not a mind. 3. The Invaders. The Invaders took Cold War paranoia and turned it into studio interference demanded more action, more aliens, more spectacle, even when the show's strength was its subtle dread. Though it lasted only 2 seasons, The Invaders became a template for future paranoia-driven sci-fi like The X-Files. It proved one thing. Sometimes the scariest enemy is the one you can't recognize. 4. The Wild Wild West. Before steampunk existed, the Wild Wild West invented it. Mixing Western adventure with spy gadgets and Victorian sci-fi, the show followed Secret Service agents James West and Artemis Gordon as they battled mad scientists, assassins, and eccentric villains. The show's style was bold, circus-level action, theatrical villains, and creativity that pushed 1960s TV to its limits. But its production was brutal. Stunts were dangerous, sets caught fire, and lead actor Robert Conrad suffered repeated injuries. The government even complained about its violence, forcing rewrites and toned-down episodes. Yet despite chaos and criticism, the Wild Wild West left a permanent mark on TV history. It dared to blend genres before genre blending was cool, proving that originality always comes with a price. 5. The Outer Limits. The Outer Limits was the darker, stranger cousin of The Twilight Zone. Every episode played like a mini horror film, filled with eerie creatures, philosophical twists, and stories that pushed viewers into uncomfortable questions. What is humanity? What makes something a monster? Are we alone in the universe, or not alone enough? The show's ambition often clashed with its budget. Special effects crews built aliens out of leftover props, shadows, and creativity. Writers battled censors constantly, especially when episodes tackled political or scientific themes the network thought were too dangerous. Although it only ran 2 seasons, its influence is legendary. Filmmakers like James Cameron, Guillermo del Toro, and J.J. Abrams cite it as inspiration. The Outer Limits wasn't just entertainment, it was a warning wrapped in sci-fi poetry. 6. The Fugitive. The Fugitive set the gold standard for serialized storytelling long before modern TV dramas existed. Dr. Richard Kimball, falsely accused of murdering his wife, spends the series on the run, hunted by the relentless Lieutenant Gerard. Every episode brought new identities, new towns, and new moral dilemmas. What made the show revolutionary was its emotional weight. Kimball wasn't a hero, he was a desperate man trying to survive. Production was demanding. Crews traveled constantly, scripts were rewritten on the fly, and actor David Janssen pushed himself to exhaustion to deliver Kimball's quiet pain. The finale became one of the most watched episodes in TV history. The Fugitive proved that television could be cinematic, serialized, and deeply human, all at once. 7. The Time Tunnel. The Time Tunnel delivered pure 1960s adventure. Two scientists trapped in a secret government experiment gone wrong, flung uncontrollably through history. Each week, they landed at major events, the Titanic, ancient Rome, the Alamo, desperately trying to survive and return home. Its visual effects were groundbreaking for the era. Massive sets, rotating light tunnels, and historical recreations gave the show a scale rarely seen on TV. But the cost was enormous. Budgets exploded, episodes ran behind schedule, and the network eventually pulled the plug after one season. Still, the Time Tunnel built a loyal fanbase and inspired countless time travel stories. It captured the thrill of history, and the terror of being lost within it. 8. Dark Shadows. Dark Shadows was the strangest idea daytime television had ever seen, a gothic soap opera filled with ghosts, curses, witches, and most famously, vampire Barnabas Collins. At a time when TV was safe and predictable, this show broke every rule. Episodes were shot live, mistakes included. Actors forgot lines, props fell apart, and technical errors became part of its charm. Behind the scenes, pressure was non-stop. The pace was brutal, 5 episodes a week, and supernatural storylines forced writers to work at lightning speed. Yet, audiences loved it. Dark Shadows became a phenomenon and still influences modern supernatural dramas. It proved that daytime TV could be daring, even haunting. 9. The Saint. Before James Bond dominated pop culture, Roger Moore charmed television as Simon Templar, a thief, detective, and gentleman rogue known as the Saint. Stylish, witty, and effortlessly cool, Templar traveled the world righting wrongs with a smile. The show blended humor, mystery, and espionage into a smooth cocktail of 60s sophistication. Filming, however, was far from glamorous. Budget limits forced the team to reuse sets, props, and even car footage. Roger Moore did many of his own stunts, resulting in injuries and long shooting days. Despite the challenges, The Saint became an international hit. It laid the groundwork for future suave heroes and proved that charm, when done right, can be more powerful than any gadget. 10. The Addams Family. The Addams Family wasn't just a TV show, it was a cultural revolution wrapped in spooky humor. Gomez, Morticia, Wednesday, and the rest of the clan turned the idea of the perfect American family upside down. Their world celebrated weirdness, embraced individuality, and made the macabre feel heartwarming. Behind the scenes, the cast formed unusually strong bonds, which gave the show its natural warmth. But production was demanding. Heavy makeup, elaborate props, and quirky special effects pushed the crew to their limits. Even with its short run, the show created a legacy that lives on in movies, cartoons, and modern adaptations. The Addams Family taught audiences one timeless lesson. Normal is overrated.